Swami, we'll offer you collective pranams at your lotus feet. And thank you so much for giving us this wonderful opportunity to connect across the globe. And please also always you join us and guide us, grace upon us, speak through us. Sairam, everyone.
Sairam.
Hope you had a great week so far, and as usual, Region 3 is doing this wonderful virtual satsang with bringing various guest speakers all over the world. I mean, coming from India and across the US, everywhere, and hope you sit and enjoy. And then we will introduce you, and also we'll go through the today's agenda also. We have a guest today to share with his Sai way of life with us today. Brother Mahendran is serving right now as Region 4 Service Coordinator, and has been involved in Lexington SSIO centers since 1999, and serving as various capabilities, including starting from SSC Coordinator, President, and now at Service Coordinator. And also he's trained in SSC, and being teachers also, he teaches the SSC kids also. Not only SSC, also the human values, SSC human values also. And Mahendran right now, he is the Chief Operating Officers in ILS, in managing consultant firms in Louisville, Kentucky. And he received his bachelor degrees in computer science in Anna University, Chennai, India. Now he did his MBA here in the University of Kentucky, and he lives in Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky, with his wife and 2 children. So, brother, welcome to Region 3, and we love to hear from you about how Swami come and playing with you. I know you get a chance to play with Swami also. So, welcome, Sairam. Okay. So normally the typical questions every devotee is and ask, I'd love to hear from and guest speakers also, that how did you come into Swami's fold? Let's start with that question.
Sure, definitely. So when I grew up in India, so as most of the viewers may know, and just like any other typical South Indian household, we have lots of pictures of gods, and anybody gives you any picture, you always hang on the wall. So I don't know how this happened, but one day we also got Swami's picture. And so my father kept it in the puja room, and I'm not sure if somebody gave it to him or somebody visited house. We were all very young at that time. I was probably still in maybe like middle school, early middle school or upper elementary. So a picture was there. So it's nothing unusual for us, because we do have other images of gods too. And this was a black and white picture, I still remember, and it's probably still in my home in India. And so, but we didn't think much about it, and not until 20 years later, probably 15 years later, I think, when I was in Singapore, I visited temple one day, and I visit temple often, but that one day happened to be a Thursday. And there were bhajans, such beautiful bhajans, and it was so impressive, and I was so happy, and I love music, and I didn't know that, I didn't know anything about there was something like a Sai Center. I never heard of Puttaparthi or anything, because all we knew was this picture belongs to Sai Baba, and that's about it. And that's very normal for many families in South India. So this music attracted me, bhajan attracted me. Swami attracts you through many ways, different ways. Some people are attracted through seva, and some are attracted through education, so I was attracted through music. So I sat there and I listened, very melodious bhajans, very nice. And I was, those days, there was nothing called young adult wing or anything like that. And I'm talking about 1989, 1990, maybe it was, but I was not aware. But I was there with the group of young adults. They were all young, and so it is a YA group, and I was also in my mid-20s. I was there, and we had a lot of fun, and I love music, so we were sitting there and enjoying the music, and they taught me some bhajans, and they were very happy. And in 1994, I believe, they said, we are visiting Puttaparthi, do you want to come? And I said, absolutely, because this was more like a friends taking you to a picnic almost, for me. For them, it's a pilgrimage, okay? So for me, it is like friends have invited, so why not hang around with friends? So that's how I went to Puttaparthi it was probably a little earlier than 94 because Kulwant Hall was not there. I go there. We arrived right in time for afternoon darshan. It was a hot summer day, and they made us sit in the hot sand. So I'm wondering, how is everybody sitting down? It's so hot, literally baking Puttaparthi summer heat. And but then when Swami came along, and as I said, this was early 90s, before Kulwant Hall time. He had no shoes. So I was very surprised, because I'm still, you have to understand, my frame of mind is not at that time Swami is avatar or anything of that. He's like a saint coming in. So I'm very curiously observing the physical attributes. So Swami walks in, and he was creating vibhuti for some of the devotees. And then he saw some student population, gave them some talk. And then he was walking across, and all along I was very surprised about those two things. How is this man walking with no shoes? It's such a hot summer day, and I have towels after towels under my bottom to sit. And how is he creating this vibhuti? So I was very curious about it. And because I saw my friends with so much reverential respect, so naturally I was also very respectful. And I was there, but I had this question, how is this possible? You have to understand, I'm an engineer and also, in computer engineering. So for us, input is output, okay? So we don't, anything beyond that is unimaginable. Everything has to fit into that scientific block. But then in the evening, there were, resident quarters offered to all the visiting people. So in the resident quarters, I was chatting with my friends, all these questions that I had. How is he able to create this vibhuti? That's like, is it even real, or is he just giving it? What is happening? So they all said, look, this is your first visit, and what you should do is first learn about Swami, and then ask questions. So, and I said, okay. And still for me, the bhajans were the most attractive piece at that time. And so it was so melodious, so musical. But at that time, I saw so many people sitting in the hot sun, and more than 50% of them were non-Indian population, because I saw their scarves. There was Malaysia and Russia. I'm talking about early 90s. And I even saw Middle Eastern countries. So that was very curious to me. I said, before I doubt, instead of doubting, I need to see through the lens of these devotees. How are they attracted? Why are they here? What is going on? And they're not asking for donations. Those days food was like, you give 50 paisa and you get plenty of food. I'm like, how is this possible? 1 rupee, you get a glorious meal there. And so that was very attractive to me. And then we came back to Singapore. It was only a very short trip. Then I came to the US. And I was in, my first stop in the US was California. And I know they had huge Sai devotee, but I was not a Sai devotee. I cannot call myself a Sai devotee because I was there for my friends and bhajans, okay, the music. And so there was no connection in I would say almost 3 or 4 years. Then I moved to Chicago, and that's when one of our common friends, a Tamil speaking friend, took me to the Sai Center. And that changed the whole perspective, because first thing, I went late, so the seva had already started. So they took me to a nursing home. Said, brother, do you want to come and serve? So I was very happy. I don't know anybody in Chicago, so I went there and I'm serving. And so service was the next thing that I was introduced. And then at that time, magically, because I'm already ready, Swami prepares you. He will never trouble you with too much information. Only when the student is ready, the master appears. So some books were thrown at me. When I say thrown at me, not physically, somebody comes and gives, brother, I have this extra book. Do you want it? So a lot of books I collected, and I got plenty of books, starting from simple teachings of Sai Baba to Charles Penn's book, and Samuel Sandwise's book, and several books. And then Howard Moffett, most of the names I'm giving you, most of our viewers would be familiar with. And when I started reading those books, Swami was speaking practically through me, through the books. That was so bhajans, service, and books was my journey to Swami. And I did not need at that time, till today, Swami, I know Swami in the physical form is not there. I never had any personal interviews with Swami. I visited Puttaparthi, but always a darshan of Swami was sufficient. And so I never had any interview or Pada Namaskar or any kind of interaction for that matter. So my devotion is always through the lens of other devotees.
Thank you. That's wonderful how Swami takes the journey of any person's into his magnetic field and make use of it. That's what I think. I think Swami is the beauty in there. So, so how did you know to believe in Swami, like without personal interactions or experience? Because a lot of people looking forward, right? But how you, because the way I'm understanding what you're trying to say, there's no personal interactions or experience, but you do an awesome Swami soldier. How did you believe in Swami?
Yeah, so one statement I heard during one of my visits there, not from Swami, but when you are there after darshan, there are many, literally like mini retreats where in the South Indian canteen or North Indian canteen on the top, you have speakers and they will speak. I always run after them and I go sit and listen. And one common theme that happened was, Swami asked his students, you all do not realize how lucky you are that you are able to be so close to me for thousands of years. The gods will wait for my darshan, and I'm here for you. And you want all trinkets, and you're not wanting me. So this was his interaction with students. Okay, maybe during a discourse, and I heard this not from Swami, through the speakers. And one day, early, again, almost like early 2000, in the late 90s, early 2000, we were watching the serial called Vishnu Puran. Okay, most Indian people would be aware of it because it came in multiple languages. So you could be from north, south, east, west. Vishnu Puran came in multiple languages. So the mother of the Devas, she went to visit the Devas. So just for the audience purposes, the Devas are Indra, the Lord of rain, Lord of Vayu, all those 5 gods, right? And so the mother went there. And Vishnu comes to know that mother has visited Devaloka. So Vishnu tells Goddess Lakshmi that, oh, I need to go to the Devaloka to see mother. And I haven't seen in a long time. I am assuming the name of the mother is Aditi. Okay, and so don't quote me on that, but leave that aside. So mother is a mother. So our Lakshmi, goddess Lakshmi is like, Lord, why do you have to go? You haven't been there for years now. No, the mother is visiting. And so it's always good to go take blessings. And Vishnu comes to the Devaloka and unannounced. Okay, and then Lord Indra is so excited and he tells him one statement which literally gave me goosebumps. He said, Lord, we waited thousands of years for your darshan and we were not fortunate to have it. And now we get it because our mother has come. Now you make that connection to what Swami says. For thousands of years, and clearly this has to be true, that where, Swami, the creator of everything, goes and comes here in human form, and clearly, we have to do it. So this was one example that occurred to me. And then the other thing that occurred to me was when I was there, Swami always, when he sits for darshan, for those who have been there, and as I said, I only go there to observe Swami, I have no other business. Swami will suddenly he will go in a trance. Even simple during darshan, everybody, he's sitting there, or maybe bhajans are going on. You won't even know if he's looking at you or not. He's gone into a trance. Or he'll make gestures. So typical. So I always wondered, what is happening? So nobody could give me clear answer. And I'm a questioning devotee. But the good news is I did not cross the line of doubting Thomas. So I didn't go there, but I asked a lot of questions. And so I didn't get much convincing answer. But then one of the authors, either it's Howard Moffat or some other author from Australia, in his book, he wrote, see, when you ask a question, Swami will give you answer through your own medium, whatever medium. So I believe in books, so it came to me. So his wife passed away. He was very sad. And the Australian Aborigine native, one lady came and offered him that, brother, I can, make you talk. I said, is it real? It's in the book. Okay, so no, he doesn't believe in it. He's a very ardent devotee of Swami, and his wife is also. And he said, listen, just talk to her and I can bring her. So the Aborigines have this way of talking to people who have passed on from this world. And he wrote in the book saying, her name is Ida. So I remember the wife's name. And he says, Ida, so what is going on here? Do you see Swami? She says, yeah, I see him all the time because now I don't have physical limitations. I don't need to buy a plane ticket. But where do you go see him? And then she said, of course, wherever he's giving darshan, he's all over. So have you visited Puttaparthi, he asked. I said, yes. So now, immediately my thought goes to, oh my God, so we think only we are sitting there and taking darshan of Swami. So that is not true. We are taking darshan of Swami in our plane. What other planes are there, we don't know. Because our minds are formulated with certain scientific principles in the schooling, it's very hard for us to cross and accept. So the only thing I have learned to do is don't doubt. Okay, so just because you don't know the answer, you cannot doubt. Just because you cannot physically see electricity in your naked eye, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It is there. Okay, and the proof is in the pudding. You turn the switch and then it comes, right? And so direct answer to your question is, how do we know? Again, through plenty of books. As I said, Swami never came to me and said, oh, you need to believe me or anything like that. Already the devotion of the devotees. When you go there, starting from the Ganesh Mandir in Puttaparthi, you should see the amount of devotion the devotees show. to Swami. And that, if that doesn't change you, I don't know if anything else will. Even it is much more than Swami's darshan, because through devotees' lens you can have that faith. It is not required for everybody to have miracles happen or anything. Every day is a miracle, right? So that is the answer that I can give. I don't know if that is a direct answer or indirect answer, but
Yeah, I know. I think the last punchline I liked it is the way you said is the proof of the devotees is the lens for us, nothing else to be, right? Thank you so much for answering that questions. So I know the way I saw you were from bio that you worked on the SS teacher, learned SS EHV and everything. And Brother Akshay, our regional national service corps has brought now the Sai tutoring into where this is the chance. I think Swami is giving us a chance to get into the EHV into the schools.
yes.
I believe somehow that telling in my mind. I know you worked on that area. Can you please tell us about your EHV work in public schools? How did you take it forward?
Yeah, definitely. So it's always a pleasure to talk about that. So in 2005, 6 time frame, Swami had multiple discourses on educare. So he said educare, is the only way for perfect society in general. And he defined what is educare. He said educare is something that you bring from within. Even though when you go and go to the dictionary and try to read what educare is, that is not the definition. But when Swami says it has to be true, Swami says it is bringing from within. So then when I went a little bit deeper into the research, educare's root word is educere, E-D-U-C-E-R-E, which literally means bringing from within. So what are you bringing from within? My question. So Swami answered, all of you are born with values. All of you are born with your own, values and goals and purposes all there. As a teacher and as a parent, our job is to bring from within the children the values and their goals and their purpose and everything we have to do. We should not influence. So I went a little deeper. I was I'm very interested in youth development. So I learned a lot about it, brought all the books from Swami about educare. And there were also other authors who had published SSCHV. And I went and attended all kinds of regional conferences at that time. Dr. Goldstein was the chairman for this entire region at that time, including America and Israel and other places. So I went and I spoke with him and I said, look, I want to take this to schools. How do I do that? So at that time, there was no model. I'm talking about 2003, 4, 5, that time frame. There's no model. So he was a little concerned and he said, look, you have to understand that for you to take it to public schools, there will be a lot of questions asked. First of all, we need a team to talk about what questions, what answers you should give. What questions will be asked, what answers do you give? So without the preparation, without any preparation, you should not go. And he gave me a very stern advice, be an exemplar. So which means all he said was, you first follow before you go preach. So I said, very good. So I took one more year and I met in our region 4, we had several EHV teachers, like not in our region, but in California, we had Bernice Mead. And she came to speak in our region. We spoke with her. And but it was not very clear. Nobody gave me a model to approach. And I was very restless. Almost like these evangelist Christians, we want to go and preach about Swami, preach about God and Jesus first. So that kind of vigor was there. So, but I wore the caution hat, because Goldstein said, be cautious. So what I did, I created lesson plan. There was no model lesson plan at that time. Nothing was there. So I created lesson plans based on SSE, based on SSE. SSE model was there, but changed all the examples to Abraham Lincoln, Harry Truman, Martin Luther King. Change everything to examples that can be related by a standard social studies teacher in America. So then I went to Fayette County Public Schools. And before going there, I tested it in YMCA. So YMCA, I was always interested in youth development. And I don't know where the YMCA may have, I have that award there, I can show you later. So YMCA, when I presented to them and say, look, I want to do, it's called SSEHV. The creator is the world-renowned educator, because you don't introduce to Swami in the early 2000s as his avatar, because they'll be confused. Now, what avatar? What do you define? Even the Avatar movie was not there at that time, so they may not even understand. So I said he's a master educator, master teacher, and he created this, and this is the principle, and it is non-denominational. We are not teaching Hindu values or Christian values or Islamic values. We are talking about human values. So can we run this? And YMCA said, absolutely, we like it. So that is our, all these values, all the five, Satya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema, Ahimsa, they all fit in, except you use the English words, And so that is how we started Educare. And we call it as an Educare program. And instead of SSEHV, but we had created a website. It will say the founder of this program is Satya Sai Baba. And so I came up with the model called, okay, how do we, you have to understand when you go teach, communication is two-way. Just because you delivered it does not mean it is received. It's if you are a computer person, so it's like a networking protocol. So you have to understand what protocol to use. So then I realized also the other truth told to me by the YMCA people. So the YMCA people told me that your audience, your group of students are from various socio-economic backgrounds. They come from here to here. And at that time, they already knew I'm an Indian. And so they told me they are not like all Indian children where parents are spending a lot of time and teaching them about education. So he said, even in America, we have that, but this is a wide range. So how will you cater to this group? You cannot give them goals like, oh, study hard, go to college, because some of them cannot go to college. So it's very important to know your community there and how you're going to deliver. So it took me a lot of time to research. So we researched, and then I came up with three models. So one was called self-care. So first take care of yourself, and then social care. Once you take care of yourself, then you take care of the society. And that word also Swami gave, social care. And then I came up with one last thing. Okay, once you have taken care of yourself, you're taking care of the society. Now let's also spend a little time for Mother Earth. Let's do earth care. It's very important. Otherwise, you are not in harmony. Everything is a waste. So that module worked very well in YMCA. So I took that to the public school superintendent, and he looked at it and said, oh, you are the one doing at YMCA. Okay, it's very nice. So we will give you 3 pilot schools. So they gave us 3 schools. And the only challenge at that time was to find teachers to go during the school day. See, because they accepted this as part of the curriculum. I was able to go and teach in the social studies class. Weekly once, the social studies class is converted into youth development class. So now the volunteer was very hard to find because the consistency of volunteers. So which means, let's say 30 weeks of school, right? Not all 52 weeks you have schools, 30 weeks. So you need to find the same volunteer who can go. Because children will not relate to a change in teacher. and you also had little children. Now they have grown up to big children. I imagine when there is a substitute teacher, they won't like. So we had all those challenges, but overall it was very well received, and I ran it until I had to move for work. So until then it was running, and now we are planning to start again with a little bit different format.
Thank you so much. I think there was a lot of questions behind how to get into the taking I know tutoring, but plus the Swami's EHV thing. I think this is the great idea. Don't directly hitting something rather than the learn, then listen, and then put it into the accents. That's what we need to approach. Thank you so much.
What's very important, Subbu, is that first know the audience. Who's your group is very important. Number one. Number two, the lesson plans they have to understand the lesson plans. We cannot be very rigid about, no, this is the lesson plan of SSC or SSCHV. No, you cannot. You have to tailor make for the local audience. Even school to school, it is very different. Number three, you have to give them something of value. Not for a hungry man, you cannot teach values. Even Lord Jesus Christ didn't do that. First he gave food. Then only he said, okay, let's talk about some business, values. So here there are children, you would have to know when we work in schools, there used to be one boy always sleeping on the bench. So, and I would get very mad because you have to understand, this was 15 years ago, my mindset is different also. And I get very irritated. And then the first name of the teacher, her name is Shauna. So, and last name I'm hiding for security reasons. But so I said, Shauna, why is this boy always sleeping? Then I was very mad. But then when her answer changed me, she said, he is on medication. It's very hard for him to stay awake. But we have to cater to the child, so we keep him in the classroom. So how do you know what kind of people you're dealing with? And therefore, you have to be very sensitive about, like, we added homework help. So homework, that's what we are doing in SI tutoring now. So we added the homework help at that time. Who are our volunteers? We are a small center. They were all non-SI group from the University of Kentucky. We brought the young adults from the University of Kentucky. We gave them volunteer hours. So they were very happy to come, and they became like literally buddies to these children. And then you add a little bit of values. So give them what they want, homework help, talk about a little bit of values, and give them goal setting tailor-made for the child.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's what I was looking for, right? We need to take that too slowly, and then they have to come back to us like that. Right? Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
For all your volunteers also, you caught me in the subject that I will talk for another 5 hours. So you cut me whenever you want. But for your volunteers also, you have to give them this thought process. Listen, if you only have patience for a year, you should be in the business of farming. Go plant a corn, and in 1 year you will get result. But if you only have patience for 10 years, then you plant a mango tree, you will get mangoes. Okay. But if you have patience for 20 years, only then come into the business of teaching. Because that is how long it takes.
So beautiful, so beautiful. I know we can talk on this Seva subject never stops, I can tell you.
So you control the time, okay?
Okay. Thank you so much. So let's move on to your life, how it's changed Swami's because of Swami, right? So how has your general outlook towards Swami influenced, right? And then also I wanted to ask about the interaction with the family members. If you can answer both questions, that will be great.
So the general outlook, once you come into Swami's fold, and I use the word orbit. Once you come into Swami's orbit, your outlook is bound to change. How? So I will tell you how. For me, Okay, it may not be for others. Prior to Swami, I'm very short-tempered, and it's very difficult for me to deal with anybody who has no common sense. So I will be very mad and said, how come you don't even know this? So people won't work for me also. They'll be very afraid. And even that includes family. If any request has to be made for family, anything, they will always talk to my mother, father, and after I got married, my wife, but they'll never talk to me because it's very difficult to deal with me. Okay. And that was normal because that is how I was, and everybody knew that, and very short-tempered. And also the younger family members may not know that, because when they're young, you don't get angry at them, you take care of them. All my younger cousins and brothers and sisters may not know. But overall at work, that's how it was. If even the boss comes and says, hey, I gave you 3 days, you haven't done it. And I always fire back at the boss. It doesn't matter. And that has troubled me also. My promotions will be stopped. All those have happened. But it's very hard for me to control. Because I'm like, how dare he's doing this? Why? Why? Because we were pretty normal with more ego and less spiritual content in the mind. So when the mind is a normal mind with more ego, I ask you one question. First, you are going to receive it with suspicion only. You will not receive with open mind because your mind is not engulfed in spirituality yet. So then, because you come into Swami's orbit, you slowly change the percentage. Your ego should go down and your spiritual should go up. I'm talking for myself. So I don't foresee my ego going to zero. Okay, so that will not happen. And if it happens, Swami's grace. So that won't happen. Okay, once in a while it will come out. Okay, but the majority of the time, now when family, because of Swami, and again, what happened with Swami? Swami's discourses. He has written 30, 40 volumes, Satyam Sivam Sundaram, his speeches, and all the Vahinis. Look at the Vahini series, starting from what was his first Vahini, Prema Vahini was the first. And then so many Vahinis, Bhagavata Vahini. If you haven't read, you should read. It's a really touching book. And, it's all about Parikshit and Pandavas. So a lot of Vahinis you read, and then you read his Satyam Sivam Sundaram series. And when you do that, your mind forcibly will change that formula. Ego will go down. The spiritual content will go up. And the response will change to the family members or co-workers or anything, even general outlook also will change. So what happens, how it will change? So now the way it will change is, now the same question you might have asked me 10 years ago, you ask the same question. Let's say, hey, I understand you have problem at work. 10 years ago, I would fire back. So who told you? I'm doing very good. Everything is good. So now I say, yes, there is a problem. I'm working on it. Why? Because my respect, self-respect, now does not depend on your opinion. It depends on Swami's opinion. Simple. So that equation must change, and that will take care of everything.
So beautiful, so beautiful. The way I think we always think that we put first all the time, right? We don't see the other people, what their opinion. Thank you so much for taking that one now. So now I know you talked about you and your family. What about the friends, employees, and co-workers? What's your thought on that?
Yeah. So in fact, that is even harder. It is harder because practically your life depends on it, and not the friend circle. Since you mentioned the employer and the co-worker or employees, so your life depends on it. Suppose somebody may say, "Oh no, this man is a business owner, So he can do anything he wants. Not true. Not true. Those days are over. So now, whether you are the employer or you are the employee, it does not matter. So you have to have a mutual respect. And that comes from the Swami's human values only, simple human value. So in the order of human value, so since you wanted me to compare, right? You said what happened before and after. Okay. So before, at job, every day I have headache. I'm not joking. So the headache medicine in India was called Crocin. That was part of my kit. Headache medicine in Singapore was Panadol, also part of my kit. The headache medicine in America is called Tylenol. The name changed, the formula is all the same. Okay, and why this headache comes? This headache comes, most people don't understand, there are neurological reasons. So don't take my advice, I'm not a doctor. Neurological reasons, headaches are different. But I know for me, it is nothing neurological. Mine is all interpretation based headache. You told something about me and I keep worrying about it for the next 3 hours, 4 hours until 5 p.m. I get headache. I come home and I have to take the medicine and drink coffee and then, relax. I was not too much fond of TV or anything. So, but just I will relax. And so this was normal. Then this continued even when I was in America. In early 2000, I would say probably 2006 or 7 time frame. You're familiar with Vedanarayanan. So Vedanarayanan visited our region, actually Ohio. It's not part of our region, but very close to us. His brother was living there. Now he's in Pennsylvania. So we knew him because his brother used to be our guest speaker many times. So we were invited for Vedanarayan's speech. So I went there. It was called Kenton, Ohio. That town was called Kenton, Ohio, very small town. So went there and the brother's name is Dr. Mohan. So in Mohan's house, in the basement, Vedanarayan came. And so we had three lectures from Vedanarayan. So the first one was very enlightening for me because the message I will tell you, the message he said was, look, the truth, you have to always speak the truth. Okay, but half the time you get into headache because the delivery of your truth is many times bad. So you have to know how to deliver the truth. So now, sometimes you don't have to tell the truth because it is irrelevant. So he gave an example. So your wife comes and tells you, let's say in your house, suppose that day, I know nowadays both husband and wife, they all cook, they all clean. So very good. But let's say that day she cooked something. She comes and asks you, how is the food? So Vedanarayan said, you better say it is good. You don't have to comment about anything. You don't have to say this is less, that is more, nothing. It is good. Why? Because at that point it is very relevant because it is only food to go and tell your wife and then she'll be upset and it is never a good day. And he quoted a Vedic stanza that even in Veda it is prescribed. So I said, oh my God, this would have relieved a lot of headache for me. Number one, because this applies to your work also, no? Okay. Then the next, I'm only giving you snippets of what changed. So that was one thing I learned and said it's very important. Okay, so we must speak the truth, but you have to deliver it palatably. And in some cases, it is irrelevant. So just move on. It's like somebody asks you, how are you doing? The guy is not waiting for you to dump all your worries. Even though it is untruthful according to you to say I'm fine because you're not fine, but it is irrelevant. Therefore you say I'm fine, everything is good, Swami's grace, and you move on. Because that poor guy, why dump on him all your problems, right? So now the next message I received. This was very important for me because we grew up in a culture where people read astrology, horoscopes, and all your life is determined on that. And they're still going on. Still, some people will do that, right? So when in a horoscope they will say, and oh, you know what? I think the next few years will be trouble for you. Whether there is trouble or not, you will invite trouble. Why? Because it is already programmed in your mind. So Vedanarayan mentioned this. He said, once you come into Swami's orbit and accept Swami, that's very important. Just because you come different story, you also accept and believe in Swami, then all these normal earthly things like all these horoscopes and everything have no meaning. Absolutely no meaning. He said it I'm quoting him. It's not my interpretation. Why? Because he explained also. He said, all those things, anything, like whether you do, Vastu Shastra or anything that you do, it's all for the mind. It is the manas based. It's all mind based, So it is like, why would Lord Vishnu worry about anything about Vastu or astrology or anything? Because he doesn't have to. He's a creator. But if you know that you are also part of the same creator, then why should you worry? Right? But we worry because we worry too much about it. That doesn't mean there is no place for it. There is place for all those things at a limited scope. You can't run your life based on that. So that changed my perspective because that relieved a lot of load on me and said, okay, once you are in Swami's orbit, Swami is going to take care. Okay, that doesn't mean you go disrespect all the old shastras and sciences. No, they have their own place, but don't overinterpret. Keep within wraps. Very important, right? And then the third thing he gave, and that was very important to me, was related to Swami's. I always had this problem about, I have never gotten Swami's interview. I was very unhappy about it. Never got interview, never had Pada Namaskar, nothing. I was very unhappy about it. Then he mentioned, Vedanarayan mentioned about, again, see, I didn't ask Vedanarayan any of these things. These are all my questions and the answers come. Okay. So he mentioned nothing related to my question. He was generally talking about Kamavadani Garu. Kamavadani was the Sanskrit teacher for Vedanarayan. And so much elder to Vedanarayan. And Swami will only allow him to come to his room, Swami's room. And then every day after darshan, Kamavadani Garu will come and press Swami's feet. So Vedanarayan was describing the scene, and because he said he has got the personal knowledge of what has happened. So Kamavadani Garu one day came and told Vedanarayan and other students at that time that, Swami's leg today is very painful. So they were all wondering why is it so painful? He said, well, he gave so many Pada Namaskar. So obviously we will be thinking, what? Pada Namaskar, we're only touching. No, he's not lifting us or doing anything. Why is his leg paining? So that's when he explained. When he offers you to do Pada Namaskar, he's taking away your sins. He's literally taking away your sins when you do that. And he says that is why in the evening, and even though he has no physical limitations, but he has come in a physical form. So that everything is energy. So that energy translated into pain. And it has to be relieved so that next day morning he can go for darshan again. So this immediately changed my perspective and I became a happy man instantly and said, oh my good Lord, thank God I did not go touch his feet. I'm okay now. I'm happy, yes. So these perspectives do change. I know your question was related to work and co-workers, but the family is the same example, So now the co-worker will ask me questions. I don't get mad, and they make comments on my document. I'll say, okay, it's very good, I will say. It's a good comment. So learn to take criticism positively. And also what I learned after Swami, before Swami was Your opinion will matter. After Swami, only Swami's opinion matters. Not that I disrespect you. I don't let you create my headache. That's all. I respect you a lot. So that is the difference.
Thank you, thank you. So beautiful, so beautiful. So I think I kind of like this is the last questions. You can take time, take it, because this is more important questions I'm going to ask. I say you are a parent, and any advice for young parents, and also anything for the children and youth you would like to share. We're talking about Swami way of life. I want to hear from you also. Thank you.
Absolutely. So parenting is very hard. Parenting is one thing. When a child is born, you buy everything. Anything that you buy in the market, it comes with a manual. Child is the only thing, no manual. The only manual is, if you're fortunate to have a mother or mother-in-law or somebody, then they will tell you what to do. Otherwise, you figure it out. For most of the people now in the modern days is that you have to figure it out because you are not living in a huge joint family or anything. So what is important? Again, we learned, through our own mistakes and learning from books. Rita Bruce, there was a Swami devotee, she wrote a very nice book about SSIO parenting, and we were fortunate to read it. And now, even though we should have read it before the children were born, but we read it later and then still corrected some mistakes. So what are the principles we should follow? First principle I have learned, most people may know this, I have learned this. Children are born through you, not to you, which means you are only custodians for a brief period. But before Swami, what is the mindset? Oh, these are my children, all right? And you influence them, you do everything you want. No, first important, you are only trustees of the children. So which means you have to be very careful. So what careful? Don't map your plans on them. The only thing you need to give them is good values, lots of self-confidence, and the ability to continuously learn is very important. But before Swami, that was not what my plan was. My daughter should become doctor, son should become engineer. We already sealed their fate, and maybe I would be a little bit relaxed and say, sure, you can become any engineer you want, right? So that is the only relaxation we will give, and you can become any doctor you want. So that's the freedom we give, okay? But that is not what you should do. As a parent, what you should do is, the happiness of the children are very important. At the same time, you have to give them the values, and the values have to go right from birth up until they are even 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, depending on the family structure and the child. You are welcome to give them the values, value system, and the ability to work hard, and lots of self-confidence. That's the most important thing to give. And so they're very sensitive, and we have done all these mistakes, and then we learned later that you only praise the children, and if there are 5 subjects and one subject is a C, you don't have to focus on that subject because that child is already feeling bad about it, right? You only focus on, oh, this is very nice, you got 4 A's, excellent. So the child will immediately get that feeling and say, okay, next time I should get 5 A's or B's, whatever. Because as you already know now, when you look back, only getting A doesn't mean anything. Every child is born to do something. But we are influencing them because we are using our lens. You have to do only values, ability to work hard, a lot of self-confidence, spiritual discipline. So the spiritual discipline we have to give to the children. Why? See, I'm not saying religious discipline. Now, whether you are able to go to the temple, church, mosque, if you are able to go, please go. But the spiritual discipline, what is spiritual discipline? So let the children know who they really are. Once they know, oh, so I am a spark of the divine, right? So somehow we need to give them that you are not a human longing for a divine experience. Now, I heard this from somebody, so I forgot who it was. One of the authors, not in the Sai centers. So you are not a human longing for a divine experience. You are divine going through human experience. So the perspective changes for the child. So now we have to tell the child, you be good, help everybody, work hard, be confident because you are a spark of divine. And whatever you do, make sure that you don't hurt others, help everybody, and you make a living like that. So that is all. And then they will decide on their own career. There are some children now, always there are exceptions and disclaimers, right? You are in America. So what is the exception? I'm joking. Everywhere there is this exception and disclaimer. So what is the exception? Some children need guidance. You will come to know because you are interacting with a child, because they will ask you, Mom, I'm very confused. Should I do this engineering or this engineering? Or should I do that degree or this degree? Then you take the opportunity and answer. They will ask you. They're very smart, right? So that's very important, that how you do it. And then what was the next question? You said young children?
Yeah. So right now we talked about the parents, right? So what's the expectation? I don't want to call it expectation, but the children and youth, what do you want to say?
Yeah. So, right. So basically children and youth, I would like to tell every child, every youth where we are able to interact, that they are special. And why? This is not like a cliche statement and say, oh, darling, you are special. No, this is really you are special. Why you are special? Because even if I go through millions of DNA testing, it's very hard to find another person like you. You agree with me? Okay. So it is very hard. Is it possible? Maybe one in a billion may have same, maybe. But billion is a big number. So you are special. Okay. So what does that mean? So you're built special. You're wired special. You're different. So you don't have to always compare yourself with the other child or other youth. You do the best you can. And then for children, very importantly, I want nowadays, the children living in this age, most important thing I want to tell them is take care of your minds like you take care of your bodies. So clearly eat good, sleep well. Sleep is very important. Most children are cutting on sleep once they become teenagers. Until they are a teenager, as babies, they sleep. When they are first grade, we have to wake them up. Oh, your bus is here. Get up. By the time they are, come to the upper middle school or high school, you're still waking them up. That is because they didn't sleep until 4 a.m. Okay. So you have to tell them sleep is very important. Why? Swami said that in one of his quotes, it is there by far. This is his message in Telugu, in English, translated in English. By far, the most beneficial thing for a human is sleep. And most doctors will know. Why? Because only during sleep your chemicals are balanced. Now your body gets rest. And then you wake up fresh and do it. So children must know that, children and youth, they must sleep adequate time. Not everybody's time is the same. Number one. Number two, when you were little children, the parents will already advise you. So I'm not going to bother about that. I'm talking about young adults, youth, your middle school and higher. Have goals. You have to do goal setting every week, not New Year. On New Year, you write and say, this is what I want. No, that's not enough. Because human memory, all humans have amnesia. New Year goals, I also wrote so many goals. By 3rd January, it is done. So, because we all have amnesias. So, that's why weekly goal setting. In fact, daily is what is prescribed, but you don't. I know you're all busy. So, do weekly. You will be writing the same thing, but that's okay. But more and more you write the same thing, it goes into your long-term memory or subconscious mind. Then, small setbacks when it happens, you will not spiral your mind down into depression. because your larger goal is always there. There's only a small setback, and so I'm going to go. So keep that goal always there ready for you. So for youth, the success for them would be good sleep, good food, and obviously when you are children, I'm expecting that all values are given, and even if it is not given, it is never too late, because we were all much older adults when we came to know Swami, and we picked up from Swami. So which means I trust the young people can do also. So have goals, long-term goals, and always, be of service, because anything that you do, it is almost like somebody said, the service is the rent you pay for living in the planet. So you do that. And Swami says the same thing. You can do all kinds of devotion, do 9 kinds of devotions, everything you do, that's fine. But one act of service will literally supersede all these things, he said. So continue to serve, be helpful, and be very confident. And the youth should never worry about, all these coronavirus and, oh my God, will I get job? Everything, this too will pass. Because everything will change, because every crisis has a hidden opportunity. Your job is to stay calm, find the opportunity, not to panic all the time. And there are some of the children may have anxiety. No problem, get treated. Simple way to treat, other than medicine, is catch yourself spiraling down, which means some bad event happened. Maybe a friend, usually the bad event is the friend is mad, or the friends are not talking. Then immediately they go and say, oh my God, I must be a really bad person, nobody's talking to me. And then they'll go spiral, and then that impacts everything. And then they say, oh, I need some medicine. So majority of the times you can catch yourself from spiraling. At the same time, anybody should understand that if you must, suppose, I have this blood pressure. I can also control by meditation, exercise, diet, walking. But for the first 1 year, the doctor will say, no, take the medicine. So you take the medicine. So same way for any illness, whether it is physical, mental, doctor says, take the medicine. No problem, take the medicine. But your discipline will reduce the dosage. Right? So the same way, children must know that, they are all gods. They can do a lot of big things, much bigger than all of us put together. And yes, there is a lot of crisis, but every crisis has opportunity. So they can do very well. And every field, there is nothing. It is like in 1880, I think, the US Patent Office, one guy said, I think everything that has to be invented is invented, so we will shut it down. The true statement. Because the telephone was invented at that time. Now, think about what has happened from 1880 up until now. So what will happen from now for the another 100 years? So there will be new inventions, new opportunities, so everything will be all right. As long as Swami is there with you and keep him close to you, everything will be okay.
So thank you so much for your time spending with us. It's definitely, I think the title really fits the story you narrated all the way up. Sai way of life, how you live, remembering his thought process, his teachings, and put in practice. I think nicely. I think half of the questions really talked about the way of life, apart like about you and the family members, workers, and then students and parents, young parents and youth, covering for everything. Thank you so much, Brother Mahendran. Your time is really valuable to us. Thank you. Jai Sai Ram.
Yes.
Okay, Sairam, next segment, it's going to be our devotional singing. Before going to, I have a couple of things to bring up here. Thank you so much for registering the Sai case, which we are going to be launching on the Avatar Day. As of Avatar Day, we will be seeing Sai Care in our region. And also, you are all heard about the site tutoring, Brother Mahendran, how to take it forward. And also, we are going to give you the insight how you need to take it forward, which we are going to do that. And then the, as you are aware, we have adapted this home, Aleda home, Right now we started, as the school started years, we already started giving supplies. It's going very good. Thank you so much for lots of calls I'm getting, lots of text messages I'm getting, and we should help them. And then I want to call out here my group 4 boys across the region, helping. They took it very seriously, and then they're helping collecting school supplies and also canned food, and also started collecting winter clothes. If they come to you, and please take a look at your closet, you may have the old stuff, please give it to them, and it will be really useful for the Elida homes. They need it. And then I wanted to thank our OA representatives, Umesh and Alekia. They're probably reaching out to you. We are launching 2 projects related to helping the group 4 boys, and also Sai Kids. They are the one who's going to lead. The Sai Siblings project, something we wanted to really kick in, where the group 4 boys and girls, and they will be getting help from you. Okay, and unexpectedly, I got a text message from Region 10 service coordinator, where there is a farm workers need about 1,000 masks. That wanted only the handmade 1,000 masks. You don't believe, and our team of service coordinators was able to deliver in no matter of time. And thank you so much, and keep working, and keep stitching mask. We want more. It's not going to stop. So with that note, we are concluding this segment, and we are moving on to our devotional segment. Please sit back and enjoy the bhajan sessions. Jai Sai Ram. Thank you.
ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। 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 ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्।
of the soul that longs for something more. Only you, my gentle Baba, only you, my Lord. Who replies to the voice I hear inside that cries out, who am I? Only you, all-knowing Baba, only you set aside. All my life I've spent in searching, reaching for a star. My journey ends where I began it, here within my heart. You can turn illusion into truth, desire to devotion. Only you, my loving Baba, you're the only one. Only you, my loving Baba, you and I are one. The stirring of the soul that longs for something more. Only you, my gentle Baba, only you, my Lord. Your eyes, the voice I hear inside that cries out, who am I? Only you, all-knowing Baba, only you set aside. All my life I spent in searching, reaching for a star. My journey ends where I began it, you live in my heart. Illusion to truth, desire to devotion. तत्प्रणमामि शिवलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि शिवलिङ्गम् नमामि साई शिवलिङ्गम् नमामि साई शिवलिङ्गम् स्मरामि साई शिवलिङ्गम् स्मरामि साई शिवलिङ्गम् हर 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 शिवलिङ्गम् हर 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 शिवलिङ्गम् विभूति सुन्दर शिवलिङ्गम् विभूति सुन्दर शिवलिङ्गम् नमामि साई शिवलिङ्गम् नमामि साई शिवलिङ्गम् स्मरामि साई शिवलिङ्गम् स्मरामि साई शिवलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि शिवलिङ्गम् नमामि साई शिवलिङ्गम् स्मरामि साई हर हर शिवलिङ्गम् विभूति सुन्दर शिवलिङ्गम् name of the Lord, Sai Rama, Sai Rama, Sai Rama. Sing the name of the Lord, Sai Rama, Sai Rama, Sai Rama. Sai Rama, Sai Rama, let me hear you sing Sai Rama. Sai Rama, Sai Rama, let me hear you sing Sai Rama. Sing it loud and clear, sing it far and near. Everyone must hear Sai's name. Sing it loud and clear, sing it far and near. Everyone must hear Sai's name. Sing Jehovah, oh Allah, Nanak Ram. Every form is one and the same. Sing Jehovah, oh Allah, Nanak Ram. Every form is one and the same. Sai Rama, Sai Rama, let me hear you sing Sai Rama. Sai Rama, Sai Rama, let me hear you sing Sai Rama. Sing the name of the Lord, Sai Rama, Sai Rama, Sai Rama. Sai Rama, Sai Rama, let me hear you sing Sai Rama. Sing it loud and clear, sing it far and near. Everyone must hear Sai's name. Sing Jehovah, oh Allah, Nanak Ram. Every form is one and the same. Sai Rama, Sai Rama, let me hear you sing Sai Rama. Oh Sai Rama, Sai Rama, let me hear you sing Sai Rama. Sing the name of the Lord, Sai Rama, Sai Rama, Sai Rama. तिरुमलेश प्रभु गोविंदा, हे तिरुमलेश प्रभु गोविंदा, वेंकटरमणा गोविंदा, वेंकटरमणा गोविंदा, हे तिरुमलेश प्रभु गोविंदा, संकट हरणा पति विहारा, संकट हरणा पति विहारा, गोविंदा साई गोविंदा, हे गोविंदा साई गोविंदा, तिरुमलेश प्रभु वेंकटरमणा गोविंदा, हे तिरुमलेश प्रभु संकट हरणा पति विहारा, गोविंदा हरि गोविंदा, हे गोविंदा साई गोविंदा, गोविंदा हरि गोविंदा, गोविंदा हरि गोविंदा, गोविंदा साई गोविंदा, हे गोविंदा साई गोविंदा, गोविंदा हरि गोविंदा, गोविंदा हरि गोविंदा, गोविंदा हरि गोविंदा, हे गोविंदा साई गोविंदा, तिरुमलेश प्रभु गोविंदा।
जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी सत्य साई हरे, भक्त जना संरक्षक, भक्त जना संरक्षक, भक्ति महेश्वर, जय जगदीश हरे, शिवदना श्रीकरा, सर्वा प्राणपते, स्वामी सर्वा प्राणपते, शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ भूर्भुवस्सुवः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात् अशीम बहु वहिष्ठेमस्ति उष्टास्ति उष्टाहमय शतशाय वहिष्ठायशि नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्स बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि संघं शरणं गच्छामि श्मा इस्राएल अदोनाय एलोहेनु अदोनाय एहाद अदोनाय एहाद Adonai Echad. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. La ilaha illallah, Allah, Allah. 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 साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति 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 परमं पवित्रं भावाविभूति परमं विचित्रं लीलाविभूति आत्मैष्टार्थमोक्षप्रदानं भावाविभूतिं हिनमाश्रयामि. Sacred, holy and supreme is
Sai Ram. Thought for the week. How to lead a divine life. No special membership entitles you to it. Every struggle to realize the unity behind all the multiplicity is a step on the path of divine life. You have to churn the milk if you wish to separate and identify the butter that is eminent in it. So too, you have to carry on certain processes of thought and action in order to get to the hardcore of faith that this world is a funny mixture of real and unreal, that is in fact false, mithya. Divine life does not admit of the slightest dross in character or delusion in intellect. So, people dedicated to it must emphasize this by precept and example. Wipe out the root causes of anxiety and fear and ignorance. Then only can your true personality shine forth. Anxiety is removed by faith in the Lord. The faith that tells you that whatever happens is for the best and that the Lord's will be done. Quiet acceptance is the best armor against anxiety, not the acceptance of the heroic. Sorrow springs from egoism, the feeling that you do not deserve to be treated so badly that you are left helpless. When egoism goes, sorrow disappears. Ignorance is just a mistake, mistaken identity of the body as a self. In fact, you must each try to become egoless, and then the Lord will accept you as his flute. Once, when a number of people were asked by me what they would like to be in the hands of God, I got various answers. Some said the lotus, some the conch, some the discus, but no one mentioned the flute. I would advise you to become the flute, for then the Lord will come to you, pick you up, put you to his lips, and breathe through you. Out of the hollowness of your heart, due to the utter absence of egoism that you have developed, he will create captivating music for all creation to enjoy. Be straight, without any will of your own. Merge your will in the will of God. Inhale only the breath of God. That is divine life. That is what I want you all to achieve. Satyasai Speaks, Volume 1, 1953-60. Sai Ram.